Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day you are watching this, whatever you are doing. I hope you're feeling amazing, doing epic things, feeling really good, embracing the shift. I want to talk about something big today, important, because we've been dealing with so many shifts lately and so many changes that I feel like this topic is pretty important because of these shifts and because of these changes, and it's about relationships, and it's about growing through relationships and learning from them and how to kind of like mindfully shift yourself and to mindfully shift your relationship if you need to do that, because we are all connected. We are all part of the same thing. We are all energy, and we all come from the same place. We all come from source, right? If that resonates with you. And because of this, our relationships, whether they're romantic or friendly, platonic, whether it's your mother, your brother, your girlfriend, your wife, your boyfriend, your husband, your best friend, they are mirrors. They are going to reflect back to you parts of yourself. And you're going to be able to learn so much about yourself from these relationships, because they are just giving you different fragments of yourself. So because we are the universe in ecstatic motion, because we are trying to evolve and learn more about ourselves, we are going to be able to learn from these relationships, because the people outside of ourselves are actually going to reflect pieces of us that we need to be aware of. They're going to reflect parts of us that we might not be able to otherwise see from the inside, if that makes sense. So like, for me, a big relationship mirror is with my dad and with my siblings, because like they're the people who I'm around the most. So I will have certain things come up and certain things happen and realize like, okay, I might need to shift something. I might need to change something, or I might need to grow through something in a different way, or look at something in a different way. And when you start looking at relationships as a place to grow and not just a place for you to get something from, because a lot of times we do look at relationships as an outside form of validation or needing to get something from someone all the time. When you see it as an opportunity to like face yourself in a different form, that's where your transformation happens. And like I said, there are huge shifts going on right now. People are like waking up monumentally. Like it's so awesome to see, but because of this, it can be kind of hard to undergo what we're going through. So that's why paying attention to what is happening in your relationships can be so transformative, because once you mindfully do it, you'll feel awesome and you'll feel more in control, and you'll just have a deeper understanding of what the heck is going on, because there are so many moments that, I mean, I've had, I'm sure you guys have too lately, where it's like, what is going on? What am I going through? Like, what is happening? So how do you do this? How do you use your relationships to shift? How do you use your relationships to change what you're going through? This is how. So ask yourself, especially when you come across contrast in your relationships, what is coming up for you? What are the main things that are coming up for you? It could be a sense of worry, worry that you won't be able to provide, worry that you are not good enough, worry that you don't have enough control in the relationship or in yourself. Look at these things, and don't look at them and beat yourself up over them, because once you pinpoint these things, you'll be able to, like, the second you shed light on something is the second that you start to change it, and the second that it starts to like shift and transform for you, because just in becoming mindful of it, you get your power back from it. Like, you're not this powerless thing anymore, because you're aware, like, okay, maybe I am worried that I'm not good enough for this person, or maybe I am putting a little too much stress on this one thing that I actually can't control as much as I want to, and that's okay. Like, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to other people, you are never, ever, ever ever going to be able to control how another person sees you. Just like they're never going to be able to control how you see them. But I'm going to get to that a little later. So you want to ask yourself what's coming up for you. You want to see if you can find common patterns in your relationships if you're going through contrast in certain ones, to see if maybe you have a theme that you need to work on. If you guys have been watching my videos or not, whatever, doesn't matter. One of my very common ones that comes up for me is the fear of not being good enough, or the worry that I am not good enough for another person, which that will just come up subconsciously, and sometimes I don't realize it, and I will, in a moment or two, like going through contrast, I will realize like I am projecting this feeling onto this person because of like something super arbitrary or super like tiny that they may have said, or maybe they didn't say, and I'm thinking so much about it, and I'm letting that fear of not being good enough, which I know to not be actually true, I'm letting myself operate from that mindset. So when that happens, I stop myself and I think, okay, do I actually believe that I'm not good enough for this person? No, because I know that, one, I am good enough for this person, for acceptance, for love, for whatever, and this person, whoever they are, whether it's in a romantic way, in a friend way, in like in family, they wouldn't be in my life. Nobody would be in your life if you weren't worthy and if they weren't worthy, you know? Like, it just wouldn't happen. You wouldn't match up. But sometimes you're matching up with that vibration of not being good enough, or of not being in control. And so that's what you're going to like see presented. Like, that's what your brain is going to look for. So you just want to be mindful of when you are in that place, so then you can start to move past it. I hope that makes sense. I hope that I've explained that well enough for you guys. Also ask yourself if you are maybe projecting your own fear, or, well, I mean, I guess that is kind of what you'll be doing with what comes up when you're asking what comes up, but pay attention to it. Maybe you are projecting a fear. Maybe you are projecting anger onto another person that doesn't need to be there. I've seen this happen lately with certain people in my life. It actually happens all the time, but I've been paying attention to it lately, where certain people are going through a shift and they project all of their stress and anger and frustration about the shift onto other people that it's not even directly related to. And from the outside, it is kind of interesting to see it happen. And we have to let everybody grow in their own way and go at their own pace and like change how they will. So, yeah, it's just interesting to see it happen. But make sure you're not doing that. Ask yourself when you start to really, like, if you're going through contrast with someone, if you're in a fight with someone, you want to ask yourself, am I making up a problem? Because sometimes we are, and that's not a big deal. Like, it happens. Like, sometimes we think so much about one certain situation that we make up this whole scenario, and we make up this whole thing that this person thinks this, and that this is going to happen, and that this person must think this because X, Y, and Z, and it's not true. And it's, like I said, it's okay that we do this, but just stop yourself when you start that hamster wheel of, like, negative momentum, because sometimes we can accidentally bring about a situation that doesn't need to be there, right? And this whole idea of things coming to the surface from like your subconscious that you like maybe operated at since you were a child, this is very big with new relationships, either new relationships with new friends or new romantic relationships. It is very, very common, and a lot of these are starting right now. There are so many new relationships beginning as we're like in this mass awakening and everyone's like upping their frequency. It's amazing, but because of this, that old idea, those old thought patterns are going to come up. Okay? So when they come up, if you are like, let's say like you're with like a new girlfriend or a new boyfriend, and you're noticing that like maybe you're worried that because they didn't do something, like maybe you're operating off of past relationships. That's very common as well. And maybe because they didn't do something in a certain amount of time, or they said something in a certain tone, and in your past relationships that meant something bad, you might start operating off of that. But that, like, if you were in a new relationship, everybody, in any way, friend, platonic, romantic, whatever, let it be new, let it be fresh, and realize that when those fears come up, that it's just your old way of thinking, and that's not bad, but you can upgrade it, and you can start to shift it, and you can start to let it be different, you know? Like, when you start to allow things to be different in your mind, they're going to be presented different in your reality. Big time, especially with relationships, because it starts inside and then the people outside of you are reflecting back, right? That makes sense. So if you are in any new relationships in any way, be mindful of what is coming up, and don't beat yourself up if maybe a doubt comes up or a fear comes up. That's not bad. It's just coming up so you can get it out of the way. Like, if you kept it buried down there and you didn't know it was there, you would continue to operate off of it. So once you shed the light on it, it goes away, which is awesome. And even small day-to-day relationships can, and not even relationships, small day-to-day interactions can bring up stuff. Like, I work with people all day long, and there are times where I will notice maybe I start going off of different old beliefs that maybe aren't true, that I used to operate off of a lot. Like, one that was big at work used to be that, like, I'm not worthy of respect, because when I started working here, I was young. I'm still young, but I was younger, and I thought that I wasn't worthy of respect, and I manifested a lot of, like, not respect. So then, like, fast forward to now, if I feel like I'm not being respected, I start to have a big pushback, and then I have to stop myself and think, like, wait, no, like, this person's saying this one thing or saying it in a certain way doesn't mean that I don't get respect, and it doesn't mean I'm not respected. And I can start to, like, mindfully bring myself into a place of, like, no, I am worthy of respect, and this person does respect me, and there's no reason that they don't, and I might be making up a different scenario in my head. And when I do that, when I do make up that scenario, I start to, like, project a lot of, like, anger and not the best things. It happens, though. So again, mindfully move through it, because that's how things are gonna change. So like I was saying earlier, we are never, ever, ever going to be able to change how a person sees us. We can't control that, and that's hard. And that's, you know, you might not be for everybody. And it's really not the end of the world if you are or if you aren't what everybody needs you to be in every moment. Be what you need yourself to be in every single moment, and you will be enough for everybody. That is the most important advice that I can give anyone, is just put yourself first. Put yourself on the pedestal that you put other people on, you know? Put yourself first. That's a good thing. When you take care of the inside, and when you take care of yourself, and when you respect and love and cultivate your relationship with yourself, I guarantee you 500% the people in your life are going to as well. And if they don't, or if they're not going to meet you at that level, they will vibrate out, they will fall away, and new people will come in and take their place who will. That's how it happens. But because we can't change how people see us, and because we can't change how people we can't change how people live their lives. And I have not lived the same life as anybody else in this world. And nobody has lived the same life as me. We all have different perspectives, and we all have different opinions, and we all have different ideas, which is awesome, which is why this is such an amazing time in evolution, because we are all learning at such a rapid rate because of the interactions that we're having with each other. But because of this, remember, in all relationships, nobody is ever doing anything because of you. And you're never doing anything because of anybody else. It may appear that way, and this is very, like, 5D thinking, I guess, but when you are in a relationship, odds are, whether it's platonic or romantic, you are with a person because you enjoy being with them, because it brings out a certain feeling in you. it's all about the feeling state, right? So you're with a certain person because they give you a certain feeling that you probably enjoy. They are with you because you give them a certain feeling that they probably enjoy. And if things shift, like if you come across a person who maybe like right off the bat is just like angry and nasty and not nice, don't take offense to it. And it's really hard to not take offense to it, but just remember, like, they're going through their own life. They're going through their own perspectives. They're going through their own, like, issues or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, unless you, like, smack this person or, like, have, like, done something to, like, directly harm this person, if they are going through stress, anger, sadness, it's not on you. It doesn't have to do with you. And again, it's hard to like differentiate that and to kind of take yourself out of it. But when you boil it down with another person and you talk with another person and you start to understand them or whatever they're going through in that moment, you'll see that like whatever the situation is, it has nothing to do with you. And it has everything to do with them, and maybe something that happened like 10 years ago, or maybe something that happened 5 minutes before they met you, or 5 minutes before they started talking to you. There's so much going on at such a rapid rate, and there's so much happening for so many people that when you really focus on the relationship with yourself and allow the relationship you have with others to help you learn about your relationship with yourself, that's how you transform through relationships. So if you do come across someone who maybe is angry and nasty, that might be bringing up something big in you. What is that bringing up in you? And can you mindfully change it? Can you, like, in the moment of talking with a person, stop and think like, okay, I might be feeling this feeling of not respected or not worthy. And do I think that this is something that I would like to like create more of? No. Okay, how can I change this? How can I put myself in the energetic position to start changing this dialogue right now? And your mind, your higher self, source, is going to like give you exactly what you need. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I did have this happen one time. Well, I mean, it's happened several times, and I've talked about this on a video before, but I'll just quickly repeat it. One time I was on the phone with a customer who was being nasty. She was being rude, and I like was getting so worked up, and I started to feel like not respected. And I said like, excuse me, ma'am, like if you could just let me explain, you're being very rude right now. And that like set off such a trigger for her. Like she was like freaking out on the phone. And in that moment I thought, okay, I'm taking offense to something because X, Y, and Z in my own life. And she's taking offense to something because X, Y, and Z in her own life. How can I start changing this? So I said, I apologize if I made you upset in what I said. I just really want us to, I said, I don't want to hang up the phone before, I don't want to end this like this, because this is about a sweatshirt, and it's not really a big deal. And we ended up like continuing to talk. And she ended up telling me like all of the things that had happened over her weekend that she was upset about and that she was angry about, completely warranted, you know. But at the end of the conversation, she was angry because of stuff that had nothing to do with me. And I was angry because I was going off of old belief systems that I brought to light and was able to change in the moment. Does it always happen like that? No. Can it? Yes. Do you have the power to do that? Yes. So relationships are very helpful. They are very transformative, and they can be kind of scary because they can bring up stuff that we didn't know was there. But that doesn't mean that we don't have the power to change it and to transform it. So use your relationships to your advantage. Pay attention to what comes up. Don't project, you know. Listen to your inner knowing and see how you can use your relationships to create a better relationship with yourself, because ultimately that's what we're doing. I love you guys. I hope that this video resonates. I hope it helps you. I hope it inspires you. If you have other topics you would like me to cover, please let me know, because I love doing these videos for you guys. And let me know what you're transforming in your relationships, because I love to hear about it. All right, guys, I'm gonna go. But this was great. Own your power, own your frequency.